All right, folks. Good afternoon. Hope everyone's having a wonderful day. Today is day one of the 12 days to start your wholesaling business. Today, we actually have a guest speaker. His name is Charles. He's part of the Titanium University. And so for day one, I wanted to go about how you can run the business with zero capital, right? So is it the most efficient? Is it the best way to go about it? Probably not, but you can start the business with very little to no capital. And so Charles will discuss that today. But before I introduce Charles, just for some of the new folks that are on here, just wanted to do a very quick introduction as far as my channel is concerned. So if you're new, my name is Caesar. I started virtual wholesaling in November of 2023. In the first 12 months, I did over $100,000 of assignment fees closed and funded. So I'm just a regular guy here who left a 9-to-5 grind to create freedom and a legacy. So this channel is all about documenting the real journey, the wins, the struggles, the good, the bad, the ugly, and everything in between. So really my goal is to just grow together, take action, and inspire each other to action. So no excuses, just moves. So at the end of this, if you find my channel valuable, smash that like button, subscribe if you haven't done so. But most importantly, leave your biggest takeaway in the comments below. And then also, if there's any best practices that you guys are doing where we can implement ourselves, I am all ears. I'm here to grow as well. And by the way, instead of just watching, feel free to hop on and be part of my daily live seller calls where you can also make your own calls live. And if you don't want to, that's okay. You can get immediate feedback. We can do role plays. I can help you with comping while you're on the phone with a seller. You can ask questions, talk about objections that you couldn't overcome. So in that way, you're able to speed up your learning process, right? So anything from your struggles and wins. And at the end of the day, once again, it's all about growing together and inspiring each other to action. So without further ado, Charles actually just hopped on, so let me go ahead and introduce him. Charles, how you doing?
Hey, what's up, Caesar? What's going on? Thanks for having me.
Oh, thank you, man. I know you're a very, very busy guy, especially the last few weeks. Got a lot of wins. So, Charles, I know I've been talking for the last few, so I'm gonna give you the floor right now and give a little introduction about yourself, maybe share some wins, and then we can go right into it.
Sure, awesome. Well, I appreciate it. Thank you again for having me on here. So I'm Charles Naparola. I know Caesar said I was part of Tough earlier, which is true. I'm a licensed real estate agent in Michigan. I do wholesaling and real estate investing. So I'm an end buyer. I do fix and flips. I'm a landlord. I do BRRRRs. I'm also a real estate agent. I also wholesale. And I've been going from no real estate investing experience to quite a bit and aggressively approaching wholesaling with that same kind of mentality where I went from an individual level to very quickly scaling up with a team. And what I hear a lot, the Titanium University community and a lot of the wholesaling university or wholesaling community as a whole, is that the money is the big barrier to entry to this. Like they don't want to spend $50,000 on investor lift, or they don't have $3,000 to throw into lead generation, or they don't have $6,000 to just start their $1 million a year business, right? So I was in that same exact boat before, and I was just on my own, kind of tinkering around, seeing what I could find. I stumbled upon Titanium University, that closed the formula, and I started wholesaling, but I didn't have the money. I was pretty broke. So I'm going to show you what I've done before, and now I'm working with a team, and we're locking up creative deals with 60K assignment fees. We're doing a lot of creative options. We've literally just closed on a home that we opened up as a land contract, was able to finance a note on top of it, and then secure $60,000 on the back end of it as well. We've also done lease options where we have the option to purchase a home in 10 years, but we sold the home for a penny, but it's an appreciating area. So there's a lot of success, a lot of creative stuff we've been doing. We also do fix and flips, like I said. We've had a lot of assignments in this past week alone. I think we had like 7 signed contracts. It's been pretty bonkers. So working with a team is definitely the way to go. But I know we all got to start somewhere, and this will help us all start. But yeah.
Perfect. Thanks, Charles. Appreciate it. In other words, guys, whenever Charles speaks or whenever he calls me, I'm all ears because this kid is always about thinking ways to close deals. He doesn't manufacture them. He just either it's a good deal or not. And if it's a good deal, he'll do his best to get it across the finish line, whether that's a straight up cash deal or be creative about it. So, Charles, enough with me. Feel free to share your screen and then kind of take it from there. And then I'll just ask questions as we go. And by the way, guys, if you have any questions, put it on the comments or in the chat, so that way I can have Charles answer those questions for you.
Awesome, yeah, and I can see the comments as well, so I'll be monitoring. So if anything pops up while I'm going through this, feel free to hit them up, and I'll try to stopping live too. But all right, so wholesaling on a budget. There is I gave you guys a little presentation. I tried making it look as cheap as possible to let you know that the template was free. I didn't make this template. I just borrowed it from somewhere online. But yeah, so like I said before, there are plenty of times where we've heard that wholesaling is low cost of entry, low barrier to entry, etc. Like you don't need any money to get started. But then when we start watching these gurus or we start leaning into wholesaling, everyone's like, oh, Investor Lift is the best dispo tool. Just buy your leads, PPL. Oh, you need a good marketing campaign. You need to email the buyers. You need to find your buyers list. But nobody goes over how to get that stuff for free, how to do that on a budget. Yeah, it's possible, but let's talk about the actual details behind it. So today I'm going to show you a handful of the tools that you can use to start wholesaling with just the laptop, the internet, and the phone as cheap as possible. And realistically, you could even do it with just a smartphone if you wanted to hustle that way. Or if you're that motivated and you want to get into real estate investing with a low barrier to entry, all you really need is a smartphone. Or if you have a laptop, you can even go to your local library, or there's plenty of areas where internet's available for free. So you don't even really truly need the internet. You can do this out of a library, a Starbucks lobby, wherever you can find free Wi-Fi and you have access to a computer. So let's go over the how. So we'll cover some of the tools available to us that will enable us to wholesale on a budget. We'll go through how to get leads, which is the most important thing, then transitioning into acquisitioning and determining if they're actually a good lead, like comping and underwriting. And then we'll send out contracts, which tools we use that are free, and how we can rotate through some of the free tools to kind of leverage the free trials and take advantage of those in some of the software. And then we'll send out some contracts, which tools use for that for free. And then we'll close out with dispositioning and how to find buyers and how to disposition and how to market essentially for free. So yeah, so our first step to wholesaling is lead generation. So most people, the default cold calling, cold SMS texting, driving for dollars, other cheap options. But there are new regulations. I'm sure everyone's heard of them coming in January. That's kind of killing the cold calling industry. Hopefully, crossing my fingers, they get a lot of robocalls. But it's going to be a lot harder to execute some successful cold outreach. Even if there weren't new regulations coming in, though, there are still ways to pull lists of motivated sellers that are sitting there raising their hands. Yes, Audi Luck, I will be going over dispositioning as well, how to find buyers and stuff like that. But yeah, so even if there aren't any new regulations coming in, there are still ways to pull lists of motivated sellers. They're literally sitting there saying, I want you to buy my home. I want to sell my home. There's something there, some kind of motivation that makes them want to sell. So we're going to go over some of that. And we're also going to make sure that you don't have to shell out hundreds and hundreds of dollars to get a quality lead or an exclusive lead in a sense. So no more driving for dollars, no more cold calling, no more mailers and flyers, no more 12 cents 100 billion times because it's cheap, but then it ends up costing $6,000 before you get reach out back to you. We're going to inbound our leads by going where the sellers go. So before I go on, I saw there's only one question in the chat. I don't know, Cesar, if you had any questions about what we're going to go over here. Just wanted to pause.
No questions at all, but I do want to just add that when I first started, I had very little to no capital. So I had literally my laptop, my MacBook, my cell phone, and I just needed to make sure I always had Wi-Fi. And so that was it. That's all I did as well. So I'm glad that you're actually doing this. So people can see that, hey, it can be done. And then I'll just interject here and there.
Cool. Awesome. So this is kind of the opposite of Cassie's web formula, the Titanium University web or end buyer's buyer. We're going to go where the sellers go. When you want an item and when you have an item, you look for money, you're trying to sell it, where would you go for it? You'd go to specialty markets, you'd post it up on Craigslist, you'd post it up on the Facebook marketplace. But there's other places like Zillow, like for homes, it's a specialty market for homes. So you're going to find people that are selling their homes on Zillow by the owners without realtors. There's a site called fizbo.com. There's also foreclosures that have extremely motivating factors that are readily available for you to pull from to call those people. You can go to your county, local county, if you want to stay local. If you want to go belly to belly, go to your county and ask for foreclosure lists or tax violations or anything like that. They'll provide it for you. It might cost about $1 per paper if you want to print it out, or you can just take screenshots, email it to yourself, whatever you want to do. Auctions are also a great way to find properties. A lot of properties that are going to auction end up getting newslettered out early, so you can have an opportunity to reach out to the seller to purchase their redemption rights and to also create a lucrative deal for yourself to prevent it from going into foreclosure or going into those auctions. And newspapers, something that a lot of people don't know is that when a property does go to foreclosure is that there are regulations state by state that require people to post or publish an article stating that a property is going to foreclosure. So the properties that are going to foreclosure that you're not seeing in your online auction.com or your foreclosures.com or on Zillow for auction or foreclosure, just check your local newspaper. There's probably quite a few publications for you inside of there that you can find motivated sellers that a lot of other people would miss. All right, so cool. Now let's say we found our lead. We can go through Zillow right now. Do you want me to take a break and just go through finding a lead through these sources, or should we just keep going on and then do it all from the get-go, from the beginning all the way to the end?
Yeah, we can just whatever makes it easier for you.
All right, cool. So we'll go through the get-go, and then I'll pull up these as we'll go through the entire thing, and then we'll pull it back from the beginning, and I'll pull up these as visual references when we're going to go and actually execute on trying to secure a deal for free after the presentation. Oh, so cool. So now let's say we went to fizbo.com or Zillow and we found our lead. So now how do we know if it's a deal or not, right? We need to comp it. We need to underwrite it. How do we acquire it? So we know there's millions and millions and millions of software suites out there that they all cost money. None of them give you the right information. All of them are just ever so slightly different. And it's hard to determine which software to use that's going to give you valid data, right? You have PropStream, Privy, all these different things out there. Why not just throw that all out and go again where the sellers are? You're acquiring a deal from a seller. The seller is going to have limited information. They're not going to have access to the comps you have on Privy and PropStream. Go to the same place. They're going to be pulling their data and use something they can visualize when you're negotiating down and educating a seller on the value of the property. Go to Zillow. Just go to Zillow. Go to Realtor. You can look at the different parameters within Zillow when you're filtering out your sold properties. And I'll show everyone how to do that in a little bit as well once we actually start going through everything. But go where your sellers can go as well, so you can be on the same page with them and level with them when you're talking down and agreeing on price and value and negotiation prices.
Hey, Charles, if
Yep.
I may, I'll just interject here. I absolutely love what you're saying. One other site that I like to use, and I use side by side with my other copying tools, which is homes.com. The reason why I like homes.com is because they will actually have prices or houses sold even in non-disclosure states. So if you're on Zillow and you're looking at a property in Texas, you're not going to be able to see the sold prices, how much the house got sold for. But with homes.com, you can. So that's one leg up I think that homes.com has over the other ones that you mentioned. But other than that, 100% agree with you.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, I've not used Homes before in non-disclosure states. So that's cool. We'll check it out when we go through it. Thank you for that.
Absolutely. And just very quickly, Jonte asked, when you guys first started and started calling sellers and following up, how many hours did you guys work a day?
It's a good question. Do you want to answer it first, Caesar, then I'll share mine?
Yeah, I have the Mamba mentality. For some of you guys who've been watching me, I started with zero experience in real estate, literally zero. I know nothing. And so for me, in order for me to shorten my learning curve, I knew I had to outwork everyone. And so the way I did it was I literally started banging the phones at 5:15 in the morning, and I won't stop until 8 p.m. That being said, between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m., that was my studying time. That's when I would go have coffee with other investors locally just to get my name out there, to learn from them. That's when I would watch YouTube videos from RJ or any other gurus out there. That was really me as far as my studying time to grow professionally and personally. But I did make calls from 5:15 a.m. till 10 a.m. and then from 2 p.m. till 8 p.m. And the reason why I did that is because I'm in California. So at 5:15 a.m., I'm calling Florida homeowners because that's 8:15 over there, right? It's right before they go to work. And then every hour, I would literally move from Florida to Texas to Colorado, make it to California. In the afternoon, it's the same thing. I would start once again. I'll go east because at 2:15 here or 2 p.m. in California, it's 5 p.m. in Florida, and I would just work my way back to the West Coast again.
Awesome, cool. And for myself, I'm a little bit different. I do not have the mama mentality. I like to sleep in and be lazy. So no, I'm just kidding. I had a 9 to 5 that ended up becoming like a 12 to 12 essentially, and more. So I didn't have a lot of time to invest into when I first started invest into real estate investing. So what I did was I started buying homes that were dilapidated, flipping them on my own, and living inside of them as the primaries. And then I would, instead of selling it, I would move out after a year and do the same thing, buy another dilapidated home, and then I'd rent out my pre-existing home. And that's how I got started in real estate as a whole. But with wholesaling, it was a little bit after I had a couple of properties underneath my belt, a couple of fixed flips, and then a couple of landlorded properties. And wholesaling, I was doing it kind of, I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of half-assing it in the beginning, and I wasn't making the deals that I needed to. I was locking them up too high. I wasn't getting better the way that I needed to. And I had a really cushy job that paid multiple six figures. I was chill. And then I decided that this is what I wanted to do because I was miserable with the 9 to 5. And so I dropped everything and I started focusing on this. And now we're seeing a lot of success. Like we said in the beginning of the stream, I'm not sure if Jonte, you were there or not, but this week alone, I think we locked up signed 7 contracts, like signed and moving on to title and ready for dispositioning. Like it's a lot, super creative stuff. It's a lot of fun. I can invest my energy and time into it. So yeah, hopefully that answers your question. Not a lot in the beginning, 0 as my main primary investing or money-making vehicle, to now I'm completely all in and I'm up early in the mornings, 8 a.m. And then sometimes I fall asleep with the computer in front of me when I'm just chatting with my investing partners and then thinking up creative deals. Yeah, great questions. Thank you. And great feedback with the homes.com thing, Caesar. Appreciate that a lot.
Absolutely.
But yeah, so now we found our deal. We found our deal, we found our lead. We want to give them a call, and we're trying to determine which kind of software to use and to find out if it is actually a good deal. So how do we do that, right? There's a lot of stuff that we need to do to protect ourselves. Have we actually locked up a deal, or have we actually found a lead that's going to generate a good assignment? Is it actually going to be a good deal? How do we know that the person we're talking to is actually motivated and actually looking, and the real seller? For instance, there's been a couple of instances. I think RJ just released a video on YouTube about wholesaling the wrong home. I know it's recently happened in our community where we've had people tour the wrong home. It happens a lot more than one may think from the outside looking in. But make sure the person you're talking to actually owns the home. Skip trace those mugs. And here's some free spots to do it. So you got the True People search, so you can look it up there. But remember, it is free, so the data may not be updated as regularly as something you're paying for. So not just skip trace it once. Make sure you do it twice. Cross-reference your sources. So I provided you True People search and Fast People search. Those are 2 free skip tracing platforms that I'll skip trace myself on stream to show that they actually work a little bit, and we'll do a comparison to show that some of the data is right in one area, some of the data is right in the other area, but as long as it matches up with who you're talking to, title can help you figure out the rest until you can afford something like PropStream or Privy or a comping software that gets that data from the MLS. For comping and underwriting, like I said before, Zillow has a lot of factors and a lot of details you can go into. You can go to the year, the make, the model, the square footage, the bedrooms, the bathrooms, the zip code, the neighborhood, the street. You can do so much with Zillow that so many people don't know about, that I'll show you how to get into that and show you how Zillow can become a powerful comping tool that you can use on the fly without paying any money at all. For land, you can use Zillow for land as well, but there's also land.com. Land.com, I didn't know about it. I learned about it recently from another Titanium University alum. It was Jason Strickland. So he's the one that taught me about land.com. So I'll share that as well. For the documents, whenever we're sending out documents, this is the documentation software I'm going to be using. It's going to be Signwell and PandaDoc. They have free trials as well as free services that refresh every single month. So they give you an allotment of envelopes you can use per month. And if you sign up for both of them, kind of like we talked about before, taking advantage of the free trials, you can take advantage of the multiple different signing platforms to be able to replenish your pool. If you're locking up more than 25 deals a month, let me know. I want to work with you. But if not, you can just sign up for Signwell and PandaDoc, and you should be good on volume. So dispositioning, I know there was a question in the chat about dispositioning. So we are going to go over dispositioning. I found 2 ways to break it down. We do see a lot of emails that come in and a lot of events that are out there. So I'll go into a little bit on how to disposition for both. So now we've got a signed contract and we're ready. We got adrenaline pumping through our veins. So now we got to sign that mug, right? We got to find the buyers. So how do we find the buyers for free? Well, good news is that Investor Lift is now free, but it's pay as you go. So it's an asterisk. Let's find some real items that are free. Again, LenderLink is it's a website I'll show you guys as well. I know I'm throwing a ton of brand names at you, and you guys probably want to see this stuff to see what it actually looks like and how to actually execute. So hold tight. We'll do that in just a second. But LenderLink is a place that you can go to reach out to. It's an aggregation site for lenders, for investors, for DSCR investors, commercial investors, builders, any kind of investing loan that you can think of. LenderLink has a connection to a lender or someone who does that for investors. So that's a huge resource for you. They give you the phone numbers, the names, or websites. You can go there, reach out to them, see who they're lending to, and be able to find your investing people, buyers there. Realtors and Zillow, realtor.com and using Zillow, you can go through the solds. If you know that a property flipped, click on the property, read the description, read who is listed by, and call that realtor. See if the person that they're listing for wants another flip. Craigslist, again, huge place to go. You will find buyers on Craigslist. Post your properties on Craigslist. You will find buyers there. Facebook Marketplace, any of those things. You'll get a lot of junk in those places. So make sure you're doing your due diligence and vetting your buyers. But those are free opportunities for you, and you will get we've assigned quite a few deals this week alone, actually, through Facebook Marketplace. And right now we're beating off buyers with a stick from one of our deals that we just dropped the price on. That's going through Facebook Marketplace. And I think 3 of the buyers that want to close today are coming from Facebook Marketplace. And we dropped the price on Friday. So Friday to Monday, we got Facebook Marketplace leads that want to close and fund a property today. So you can find buyers for any of those. For marketing, those emails that come out, or if you want to email people to let them know that you got a good deal, you can use MailChimp or MailerLite. MailerLite used to be called Send in Blue, but it's now MailerLite. And those are kind of built for real estate in a way, where you can create a quick little template and then send an email out with a photo and the details of your property, and it'll email blast for you for free. So those are the softwares we're going to be using for the virtual stuff. I know we talked about dispositioning in person, but before I go in person, I don't see any questions in the chat. I know I'm talking a lot of brands. Caesar, do you have any questions about the virtual stuff or anything so far?
No, I think that's great. I think it's as soon as we can show these people how you do it, that would be great.
All right, cool, awesome. And please do hop up in the chat if you have questions. But please also feel free to poke around these things. You can just Google like LenderLink, obviously Craigslist, MailChimp, MailerLite, and dig around them, and you'll be able to find the free versions and sign yourself up by the time I get to it. So another way that a lot of people take for granted are the in-person real estate investor associations. Go to these things. You will find deals like crazy. If you don't have deals, go to these things. There will be wholesalers there looking to dispo deals that are more than happy to JV with you, and then you can get practice. And then you have an experienced wholesaler there that has their buyers network that you can connect to and see if their buyers are looking for things. Go there. You'll find buyers that are looking to buy homes that are good for a deal. Go there because you will find hard money lenders that you will see buyers or flippers going to them and conversing with them, and those will be your buyers. You will connect with so many people locally just by showing up at a RIA. And usually the first time it's free. A lot of places have a monthly subscription that you have to prescribe to, or you can pay by the meeting. But yeah, try to find out for your local stuff. There's also a lot of free meetups, real estate investor meetups. You can find them on meetme.com or meetup.com, Facebook Marketplace, the events. Go to those events. It's intimidating, but that's where you're going to find your buyers. And those are the people that are going to be coming back to you more and more because they know your face and they have a more personable connection. Facebook.
Charles, sorry to sort of cut you off there, but I definitely want to mention that that's exactly what I did in the beginning. I went to a lot of meetups. Dude, I knew nothing about creative financing. I found a sub 2 community in San Diego and I went almost every weekend. And I know you mentioned that it can be intimidating. It's only intimidating if you're going to put up a front that you're an investor, that you know what you're doing. I literally went there just like, hey guys, I'm new, but I am hungry. I am hungry for knowledge and experience. So I have time and I happen to be very good at talking. So I have something that you probably need in your team, and you have something that I need, which is process, right? I need to see the process. And so, yeah, go out there and just be transparent. People love to help other people. Like they were just like you, right? I know I can meet someone right now that's like me when I back in November of last year. So, and I'm all about helping people. So I'm sure there's a lot of other people like me who'd love to help folks out. So yeah, go to those meetups, let them know you're new, let them know what you can provide, what value you can provide to them. Once you do that, man, they'll help you in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, that's huge. Something you said there too with which value you can provide to them is huge, 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 huge. Because a lot of new people do go there and they just want to learn. They want to pull things and they take it for granted that people like to teach and they want to help you. But if you're not providing value in return, it's a one-sided relationship, and the experienced people will more than likely start going away from you. So what value you can provide back will get you a higher quality network and a higher quality communication connection. So great comment on that.
Absolutely. And one last thing before you go, Charles, is, as far as like what value, if you're new, you might say, well, what value do I have? I have nothing. I don't know anything. Right. So, and which that was me, but my value was time, my time and grit. That was my value. And literally, that's what I told people. Hey, Charles, good to meet you, man. I'm new in this industry. I'd love to learn from you and other folks. In return, I have time and grit. So if you need someone to make calls for you, anything you need, let me know. All I ask for is experience and for you to share your knowledge with me. Right? I did some JV deals where I got paid very small amount, but I was okay with that because I got to see everything behind the scenes. For me, that was far more valuable than the assignment fee that I was going to get. And so at the end of the day, it's real estate. You can make deals in any way you can. And just because you know nothing about the industry doesn't mean you don't have any value to offer.
Yep. Great. Thank you. So that's that's really it that I have for the presentation. I know it's super simple, super short, but I know you guys are here to see it executed and see the tech in action. So that's why I kept this super simple and short. I do have a thank you slide. This is me. This is who I am. This is my license number. This is my broker because it's required by law that I put that up there as well. This is me. This is my broker. If you have any questions, I'm local to Detroit. I'll be happy to help you out. Please reach out to me. There's my website that's created and spun up through a template through my broker. So don't judge me if it breaks, please. I'm just here. I'm just doing my thing. But yeah, please feel free to reach out to me.
That's the price of free. It might break.
Yeah, the price is free, so it might break. Double check your sources and your references. But I'll stop sharing here, and then we'll start actually. Let me reformat my screen so that we can share and call.
Folks, everyone that's watching, you guys have any questions, any feedback, maybe what you did when you first started. I'd love to hear from you guys.
All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and share my whole screen. It's gonna be small for some people, just FYI, because I have a very big screen. Please let me know if it's unbearable, and I will fix it. How is it looking?
I think it's looking good right now.
Good. All right, so we have, pull this off to the side here. And then inside of here, what we'll do is I'll show you the actual software. You can see all three of the stuff in this other Google tab. Is that correct?
Yep.
All right, cool. I cannot see the chat at all now, so I am at your mercy, Caesar.
No worries, man.
All right. So the first step was lead generation, right? So we talked about some of these free lists. So I actually created this folder that I'll share as well, that has each of these different sources already set up in here that everybody can access. And I'll share it with you, Caesar, at the end. So I don't know if you create posts or anything, but they'll have a quick link access.
Oh, that would be great, man. I will definitely drop it in the description below. So I'll probably do that sometime today.
All right. So Fizbo.com is a place that you can find properties anywhere in America that is for sale by owner. People are posting it. You can click on them. You get all the information you need. You can see it on the map. You get the year built, everything you need to comp. You can find the actual price a lot of the time too. But yeah, so this guy wants $447,000 in Brussels, Wisconsin. That's one way to get it. Craigslist. Another way, you can look for real estate inside of here. I'm going to do it for every single one of these so that we can see it. So this is in Ann Arbor. This is my local Craigslist. So y'all can find Craigslist at your local stuff. But you can find, let's see, newest, oldest, services, office suites, handyman special, investors money lend on great deals, Toledo junk removal. I may have clicked on the wrong one. I may have gone too fast. Services, yeah, I did. That's why. Here we go. Now we have all of these properties that are potentially for sale by owner. And we can see all the photos. We can sort out if it's the newest, the oldest, how long it's been on here, how cheap it's been, what's coming up. We can do our filters here too. Price, just like we could in any other comping software, essentially, or any other, sorry, not comping software, any other property finding software aggregator. Same thing with Realtor. Type in the zip code. It'll show you everything. These are how to find. 1 second. And then Zillow. And then in Zillow.
Hey, Charles, quick question for you.
Yep.
When you're looking at Fizbos, right, whether that's on Zillow, Fizbo.com, whatever it is, like, how do you know which house to call? Is there like a certain amount of days that you want it to be on the market? Is there certain, like, what are some of the criteria that you look for where you're like, that's a good lead for me to call on?
Honestly, if you're doing Fizbos, call every single one. Like, if you don't have the money to pay for leads, you need to be calling Fizbos, getting your reps in, because there's something wrong with your processes, your acquisition, your dispositioning. There's something wrong. You need reps, you need practice. So call every single one and get your practice in.
Dude, I'm so glad you said that, because I was going to say anything over 90 days. But you're absolutely right. Especially if you're just starting, just know that you're going to fail more than you're going to succeed, right? So what Charles is saying is if it's a FISBO that just got posted up last week, you're most likely not going to lock it up anyway. So use it as practice, right? And when you have that mentality, I think you're a little bit more free, a little bit more fluid. You don't really care too much about losing that lead. So yeah, call every single one of them and just practice. So in that way you can see what works for you, because at the end of the day, everything works, right? Like, there's no right way to do things. There's no wrong way to do it. You just got to find the way that works for you. And so having more repetition is going to help you get there as quickly as possible.
Yep. Yeah. So even if you want to practice on ones that aren't going to go anywhere, try calling the ones that have been on the market the longest first. And then we work your way down. So you get your teeth kicked in, you'll get the hardest up front, eat the biggest toad first, or whatever it's called, right? Eat the ugly frog, whatever that saying is. You'll get your teeth kicked in, and it'll get easier and easier and easier. And when you start making money, getting your assignments, you go over to iSpeed a lead, start paying for your leads, and then you get a 75% connect rate, and then a 50% contract call rate, and then you won't know what to do with yourself. No.
There you
You're
go.
going to be locking stuff up too quickly because you dealt with the worst of the worst of the worst of the worst.
That's right.
But yeah, so we can find homes here. I also can't see the chat anymore, so if there's any questions, please let me know.
Yeah, I'll let you know. We'll be good.
All right, cool. So I'll close out of this one because I don't use Realtor a lot, honestly, but I know it's possible. So FSBOs, you can type in your location wherever you want to buy a home. So let's just say Detroit, Michigan, right? Because that's where I'm at. So in Detroit, Michigan, you see all these. You can sort it by, I guess, price. So one's the cheapest one, or whichever one's coming in later. You can also swap up the distances. So it'll give you a good list of items. You guys can poke around here. I'm just showing a very quick, very quick list that can be pulled for motivated property sellers. When you click inside of them, read the descriptions, determine if it is somebody that sounds motivated or something that you'd want to call on. But again, if you're stuck on FSBOs, I recommend you just call every single person. They have $0. It's a non-disclosure state, so I'm pretty sure this is they're probably gonna have $0. Gonna have to call to get this person's information, but there should be a spot on here, if I recall correctly, to contact the owner. You click this button right here, and it shows you the phone number and the contact for the owner. Same thing with Ann Arbor. You just click on these homes, or same thing with Craigslist. You just click on these homes. You'll be able to reach out to them through Craigslist. You can see when it was last updated. You can pick and choose your items, but call every single one of them, please. When you're looking in Zillow, I just typed in a zip code. We can also do something like, this will get into our comping as well a little bit more. You can do neighborhoods in Zillow, like the Jefferson Chalmers in Detroit, Michigan. It pulls out one neighborhood in Detroit. If I type in Detroit, Michigan, I can do the whole city. You can see that's included. If I do zip codes, we saw that zip codes were included. I can do counties as well. Pulls the entire county in. You can do states if you want to. But for finding properties that are for sale, you click on this more button here. By owner and other, click this. Unclick agent listed. You can keep the auction and foreclosures on if you want additional items, but you have to reach out to the sites. It's usually brokerages that put those out on here. So I usually unclick those. And now we have all these properties. We have 102 results in Wayne County alone that we can call the owners for. And we have their asking price already. We have photos. We have hopefully the contact information, listed by property owner right here. So we can call. We know exactly what they're looking for. We can see how the quality of the property is generally. We know the location. We can choose Fairbanks, Alaska if you want to, or Arkansas, wherever Fairbanks is at. And you'll still find stuff. Alaska, Arkansas. Wow, I'm showing my my public education, but but yeah, so that's how to find very quickly properties that are for sale, that people are raising their hands, looking at you and begging you to buy their properties. They may not be well priced. Like, don't get me wrong, it's free. You get what you pay for, but they're there and you have the information. You got more photos than you would get if you bought a lead. You start off with more information, more comparables in the area, how long it's been on, their story, why they're selling it, everything is right there for you. In foreclosure, you can just click on the state that you want to search in. If I want to go into Bay City, now you have all your foreclosures that are coming up on the foreclosure site. What's important to note about the foreclosures, though, is that you have bank-owned auctions and regular foreclosures that happen. Be very, 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 very careful with foreclosures and auctions, because there are some additional rights that owners of the properties have, that they can sell you their property, but then you could still lose the property because they could redeem their property after the auction goes off. So just be careful with foreclosures and auctions. I just have to put that out there. But yeah, so you can also do the same thing in auctions.com. You can click on vacant properties, and here you'll see foreclosures, redemptions, bank-owned properties, So you can find the different types of properties you want in here. The foreclosures are going into foreclosure. These are usually privately ran, and you can reach out to these owners, and they're usually very motivated. The bank-owned properties, they're already been reclaimed by the bank, and the bank is trying to make up as much money as it can possible. So again, be very careful with these. If you are deciding to go into the, sorry, I had a call at the same time. If you are trying to go into the free wholesaling, be very wary of auctions and foreclosures. Please stick with just cash flips and cash dealers on your first couple of calls.
I would 100% agree with you on that one.
So that is your leads. So now when we go to acquisitions, we want to make sure it is a good lead, right? So let's go ahead and skip trace one of these. We'll skip trace. I actually have a property in here.
Well, let me ask you, Charles. I mean, if it's a FSBO, you should already have their information. So why do you need to skip trace them?
So you still want to skip trace them to make sure that when you're looking at the data that matches with the county records, when you file for title, if you do get it underneath title, that they are the actual owners of the property. So you do still want to skip trace. You do want to protect yourself. You want to make sure that the person that is answering the phone or has their name down here matches up with what's on county record or public record.
So then my question to you, Charles, is do you skip trace before you pick up the phone?
Oh no, you can call them and then talk about the property, because that's a lot of effort to do before getting on the phone. Call them, find out who they are, go through your process, but then also skip trace to make sure, or when you run it through title will essentially determine if they are the rightful sellers, or they should.
100%. So if I'm understanding you correctly, Charles, and this is the reason why I wanted to ask that question, because I didn't want anyone to just start skip tracing before they call, because then one, it's going to cost you money. Two, it's a lot of time and effort, especially if you do truepeoplesearch.com, right? Like it takes a while to skip trace every single lead one by one. So correct me if I'm wrong, Charles. The way I would go about it is I would just go FSBO, put in Toledo, Ohio, for example, and just call every single owner out there.
Yep.
And once I get on a call with them and now, hey, we agree on a price, I go send out a contract. At that point, while I'm sending out the contract, that's when I would skip trace to make sure. So that way, if it's a different name, then you can give them a call, be like, hey, I'm drafting the agreement right now, but before I send it out, I looked in the county and it shows that the owner is so-and-so. Who is that? Right?
Yep.
I would say it shows that it's a different owner. Maybe not even mention the name and just see if they can come up with it.
Yep.
So that way you can see. So a lot of times people will always mention the name that they see, and then the other, the person on the other end of the phone is like, oh yeah, that's my mom, or that's my dad. So don't just be like, hey, I noticed it's a different name. Who should be on title? Right? Let them tell you who should be on title and who is on title at the moment. So in that way you can vet them out to see if there's anything fishy going on.
Yep. Good points. Because title fraud is abundant. It's
Yeah.
real. It's real. But yeah, definitely call them. And you can either have title determine that, or you can skip trace just like Caesar said in the same exact points. Yeah, all solid points.
Yeah. So just once again, guys, do not, if you're going to call FSBOs, you already have their information. No need to skip trace unless you're about to send a contract. And at that point, it's worth the 10 cents or whatever it is. If you're doing the free version, at least it's worth the time for you to do the skip tracing and ensuring that it is the right person that you're talking to.
Like me, I have properties in Detroit. If I was selling a property in Detroit and you looked at like this, and then you saw the homeowner number, and if you're from Detroit, I have a Texas phone number, so that might raise a flag. They may not know who it is, and there's a lot of scammers out there. So if you're nervous about it, feel free to drop them in. So I could type in, come on, oh my gosh, remember, you get what you pay for. And I can pull up my stuff. So yep, so pulled up my stuff, and then you can skip trace that way. Or what was the other one? I think I closed by accident. Type in a number here, and I should pull up my stuff too. There I am. But yep. And then for land, we're gonna get into comping after this. Were you about to say something? Sorry, I think I heard.
No, I was just gonna say, Jonte posted a question,
Mhm.
which is he said, I feel like most people are scared to call sellers back after they get a lead. What is your guys' take on that? I'm not 100% sure I understand the question. But if you're afraid of calling sellers, the only way to get rid of that fear is to keep on going. Just know that you're gonna suck and it's okay. I mean, I'm dead serious about that. I got into this. I have over a decade of sales experience. I'm very good on the phone. I know what I'm capable of. But once again, I went in here knowing that I have zero experience in real estate. So as far as my skills and my experiences, that was just out the window, right? So I walked in going, I know nothing. I suck. I'm gonna get my ass kicked. I'm gonna get my nose bloodied. I'm gonna get my knees scraped, and people are gonna tell me to f off. And I'm okay because every time someone tells me to f off, I'm getting better. I'm getting thicker skin. It's just part of the process. So if you don't want to be afraid, the only way to do it is just to face it head on.
Yeah, pick up the phones. I mean, I'm from Michigan. Do you think that if I call this number in Unalaska, that there's going to be any issue if I have a bad conversation with them? Probably not. So get your rep in, call them, practice on Unalaska guy.
Yeah.
Not everyone. I don't know how many viewers you got, but don't everyone just call Unalaska guy. Sorry, guy. But there's Kodiak too. We got 4 people in Kodiak that are looking to sell.
Hey Charles, one of the viewers, Brandon, mentioned that the browsers it's pretty small. So is there any way you can just show like one screen at a time?
Yep.
So
That,
be
yeah. Let me stop my screen. Thank you. Yeah, my monitor is massive, so thanks for letting me know. We've got one monitor. It's just really wide. It's 3 monitors etched into one that reads like one. How's this looking for Zillow?
I think that's much better.
Much better? Okay, cool. Yeah, so if I'm in Michigan, like I was saying before, so this guy out here in Unalaska, Alaska, if I call this person looking to buy his home, I mean, what's the worst that can happen? We have a bad conversation. I fuck up the deal, and then excuse my language, but I mess up the deal, and he hangs up, and he gets another call 5 hours later, and then I call the next person. Like that's the worst that can happen, really.
Absolutely. And just to piggyback on that, I think it is very imperative as a new person. And once again, I'm just going to go based on my experience, right? My first 3 months, I just looked at it as a learning experience. I didn't care how much I earned. Now, there's a lot of you that are watching that are looking at doing this as a part-time or as a side hustle. Like you already have income coming in, right? So like who cares whether you lose that lead or not? It's a free lead anyway. So look at every single call as a learning experience for you. And then every week, at the end of the week, sit down and look at all your calls, right? If you recorded them, listen to them. If you didn't record them, then think about them, right? And then as long as you're progressing every week, that's what matters the most. Like all those little wins, all those little experiences, right? They will add up to a big win later. And I know I said little wins, but maybe they're little losses because you didn't lock them up. But the win there is the experience that you got out of it, right? Why didn't I ask that questions, or why did I interrupt that person? Why did I go into asking about conditions when he was talking about his motivation? Like all these little things, you gotta have an honest self inventory of yourself and your process, and that way you can progress and grow.
I agree completely. All right,
Well,
so now we have the calls. We found our deals. We decide we want to call. I'm just gonna go to Michigan because that's what I'm familiar with. We can even come inside here. Like let's say we have a specific area. You have this draw function in Zillow that if you want to draw a specific area, you can even do this. So I can skip out of downtown Detroit area, but I still have the metropolitan Detroit area and the wealthy areas of Oakland County. Hit apply. And then I have a list of FSBOs in the area that I'm looking for specifically. So there's a lot of flexibility in Zillow. That's why I like using Zillow a lot. To to find our leads. So now that we found our leads, like Caesar said, how do we know it's a good deal? How do we know what's to call? And that's going to depend on each individual investor or each individual wholesaler. They know what they're looking for, their criteria, what they're successful in, or if they don't, they need to start tracking their KPIs so they can figure that out. And if they're not recording the calls, they need to start recording your calls, honestly. So single-handedly the best way to evaluate yourself and get better and better. But yeah, so if you're looking for a home on FSBO.
Oh, Charles, let me interrupt you for a quick second.
Yep.
You definitely said something that's very valuable. It is very important for you to record yourselves, guys, because that's how you can go back and listen to it and then critique yourself, right? So that you know where you need to improve. One thing that I do want to mention for a lot of folks who's got the new iPhone, or yeah, I guess you have to have the new iPhone to get the AI stuff. But you can actually record your phone calls now. So if you're on a phone call, on the top left corner, there's a record button. Once you press it, it will actually notify the person that you're talking to that you're recording the call. So you can easily say, hey, by the way, if you don't mind, I'd like to record this call for note purposes only, right? Just want to make sure that I give you 100% of my time so that I can go back to my call later just in case I missed something, especially if we're going to talk about conditions of the house.
Awesome, cool. So let's go ahead and go through what we would actually look like if I were to be looking for a home on FSBO, and start executing a little bit. So I'm gonna go for a Ferndale because someone recently brought Ferndale into my eyesight. And look, we found one whole deal in Ferndale. So what we're seeing in here, right? We have just the one deal, 170. This is not a really good example. Hold on, let's just go to Detroit. So when we go to Detroit, we want to find a FSBO in Detroit, but we have 103 results. In our hedgehog concept that we develop, we're going to be cash flippers. So we're going to look for the cash flipping of a single family home. So I don't know if you all can see this. I think inside of the stream, it's covered by the banner.
Oh, let me get rid of that. Thank you. Give me 1 second.
So you can use StreamYard, Jonte. StreamYard is free, and you can record your screen at the same time, or just like OBS or Resimply is really good, or anything, even just a Walkman, showing my age.
Yep, StreamYard is free, and it'll transcribe it for you too. So you can easily go back to certain parts where you're like, oh, that's when he was talking about conditions or whatever it is.
Cool. So thanks for that. All right. So home type. So if I go ahead, let's reset this. Let's just say I'm coming into Zillow.com, and I want a property in Detroit, Michigan. So we get Detroit, Michigan pulled up. The most important thing, make sure we're on for sale, of course. Click on more by owner and other. Reduce it to 103. I'm going to hit apply so that we can see what's showing up in here. And when I zoom in, you're going to see some wonkiness, like 126.6K. This nonsense right here, all these $0 nothing. These are probably auction properties. And these are probably foreclosure auctions as well. So inside of more, that's why we get rid of the agent listed, because we don't want agents. We don't want wholesalers. New construction is fine. Foreclosure is gone. Auction's gone. And I'll show why individually on these in a little bit. But yeah, so now we have our Detroit properties that are actually for sale by owners. Inside of here, depending on what kind of property we want, the home type, we're only going to go for single family fix and flips. So click on houses, and now we're down to 32, which is really good for us. Now, when we come inside of Detroit, we can determine if we want to go for the oldest ones first. Like I said, we'll call the oldest ones first. So click on newest in the sort, and you'll scroll all the way down to the bottom, and you'll find the oldest one. So this is the oldest property for sale by owner in Detroit, Michigan. It's right here. So let's comp this bad boy. So how would we be able to comp this? Let's go ahead and click on side of it. So we're going to comp this with Zillow as well to show that it is a free alternative for all the comping software, all the preview prop streams and everything like that that everyone advertised. We're going to do everything through Zillow first, finding our buyers and all that fun stuff. So we have the property. You can see the condition looks like it's a rental property. So we need to comp this out at a rental property area. We can also see the beds, the baths, the square footage, and all of the details we need right here to find comps in the area. So let's go ahead and open up another tab. Go back to Zillow, and we'll type in the address. Copy, paste the address. It'll bring us to the same property. And then what we'll notice is when we click out of it, it's zoomed in to that exact neighborhood. But now we're reset to agents, right? So now we're going to be doing our comping. We have one tab with a property with all of our stats in it. We have our second tab in Zillow, the same exact spot like we talked about before, where the sellers can see the same exact data. We're just going to flip to sold. Now we have too much data. So now the entire idea for comping is to reduce the amount of options you have available to you to pick the ones that most likely match and are most comparable to your property. So let's take a look at this property. 3 beds, 1 bath, 5,009 square foot lot, built in 1938. Where's the square footage? 1830. So the first thing is we're going to look if it's a single family or multifamily. So it looks like it's a single family. Because we set this, we're going to do the same exact reset. That's going to get some of them, the beds and baths, we're going to make 1 or 3 in 1 and use the exact match. That's going to remove a lot more. Now, we don't want things from 2022 because we know that there was a huge spike in craziness in the market. We want things within the last 6 to 12 months. I'm going to start with 6 months to reduce a lot of the noise. Now we're seeing that we're getting a much clearer view. 3 beds, 1. Oh, what's that? Sorry.
No, I was gonna say in 1938. I don't know if you do the year as well, but
I do. Yep, that's where I was going. Thank you. Thank you. So what I do for years, I do 15 years under and 15 years above. And the reason I do that is because usually architectural shifts usually happen on a decade or a fifth. So if you do 15 years back, you have 5 years to see if the decade shifted, or if you didn't go back far enough, you'll get 3 decades worth of spread, or at least 2 at a minimum, to determine if there is an architectural shift. So what was the year? Sorry, just talked over that.
1938.
Thank you. So I'll do 1935, and that's minus 15, so 1920 to 1950. So now we're seeing there's still a lot of properties here, which is good for us. A lot of good comps. Last 6 months, square footage is 1830 square foot. In these older homes in Detroit, sometimes the square footage doesn't align, but I'm going to act like this is the blue sky scenario. So 1830, we'll go down to 1750, and then 2000 max. And now we have these for our comps. Detroit's, I'm not going to comp like I'm comping in Detroit. I'm comping like I'd comp a regular property, just FYI. So, yeah.
And what do you mean by that, Charles? Because for some people who are looking to start wholesaling in Detroit, I know what you meant by it, but what did you mean by it?
Don't start Detroit is what I mean. Detroit's an advanced market. Detroit's comps are neighborhood by neighborhood, block by block, street by street. So my comping would be about this big at most if I was comping a property in this area.
100%.
But regularly we do about a half mile, quarter mile out, depending on how many comps we have. And yeah, so now we just start looking at the properties. We can take a look over here at a quick glance to see if anything matches. And we need to remember that our property looks like this. This is what it looks like in the photo. But
Brick house.
Brick house, additional comp that we need to do, I'm going to kill this stuff, is we need to go to the street view. And we can see it's still in pretty decent shape. It's 2022, so it's a little bit older. We don't know how old the photos are, but we can get a good view really quick of the roof, the condition of the brick on the outside. See, there's a cone on there for some reason. But otherwise, it looks like it's in pretty good shape.
Yeah, looks like it's a great neighborhood too.
Yeah, we want to check the neighborhood as well to make sure there's nothing falling apart or dilapidated, or something commercial on the road, or a bunch of semis drive through it, things that would be discouraging to a homeowner, not even just an investor, but a homeowner. Because if it's discouraging to a homeowner, then the investor won't be able to fill it, and they'll just lose money. So yeah, so this has some commercial stuff on the end here, but it's far enough away, I think, that it doesn't detract from the value of our property, which is right here. Yep. All right, so now that we have our street view, we're going to come back here and take a look for any kind of brick properties that match our style. And it doesn't look like we have a lot. Maybe this one? No.
No, you need a two-story. Looks like it was a your or subject property was a two-story, I believe.
Yeah, 2-story brick. So what I'll do is I'll remove the minimum year. Oh, sorry, not the year. The square footage. I'll bring it down one to bring in more properties. And there we go. This looks a bit more like our property. And this is the Detroit thing, because a lot of the times they don't count all the square footage on the older homes until they get some kind of permit done, and they'll go in and they'll recount the square footage, or people will finish their basements and add a room. But this looks like it's a good comp for our property, potentially. 2-story brick, different style, but kind of. Where was our property? So I also use Google Maps to keep a really quick bird's eye view of where I'm at. But yeah, so I am Greenfield and then 2 to the right. So here's Greenfield 2 to the right. So I'm right around here. So I'm not seeing a lot of good comps, unfortunately. So maybe 53,000, maybe this one, even though it's way, way far away. I got to remember, I'm not comping like I'm comping in Detroit.
Yeah. Yeah.
So 140. This looks a lot like our property, actually. And what we can do.
How far is it?
This one is not crazy far. So we're right around here. And this one's, oh, it is pretty far away. It's up over there. It's up in this area.
Across the freeway too.
Yeah. Man, all of our comps are over the freeway. Of course, we had to get one like this. And we're over this weird random boulevard, so it's completely different area. But this one, where's this one at? Way over there, geez. So let's draw.
And this is probably the reason why this house has been on the market for 340 days.
Yeah, because they're asking for how much? $220,000. And if I look at the sold homes, price high to low, 260 is the highest. And that's far, far away. So we're over here. We can see that our properties, even if they're not matching us, or even if they are matching us, aren't going for anything close to that.
Yep.
So that is a way that we can pull off the exact match in case we add a room to it.
Hey Charles, quick question for you.
Yep.
And maybe I'm asking a little too early, but you're looking at sold prices. Do you ever look at for sale prices as well?
I do, yeah. Yeah, and that's what I was going to get to next. I do for sale and pending with Privy, but I don't think they have a pending in here. Yeah. But yep, so you can do for sale to see where people are selling in your area, if anything matches, and see how long things have been actively on the market. So we see a lot of stuff is available here, and it's all sitting for a while. So let's go ahead and do our thing, 1930 to 1960, if I recall. No, that was wrong. It was 1920
Or 1920 to 1950.
Thank you. All right, now at least 3 beds, 1 bath. So we're right around here. So not a lot is selling in Schaefer Highway area. So right over here, 109. Price
And
cut.
and by the way, why do you look at for sale prices as well?
The for sale prices give you an idea of where the market's at in your current area. It lets you know if people are actually buying stuff. If you have a lot of for sale and no solds, then people aren't buying anything. Maybe something happened. You want to see the days on the market to determine if it's tracking a lot of views at its current price for your comps, if it was because of the price cut, or how long it's been on the market, essentially, to determine if that price is too high versus where you need to price your stuff.
Absolutely. Another, sorry to cut you off there, Charles. I was just going to say also the other reason why I do look at for sale prices as well for a few reasons. One, let's say when you're looking at sold prices, your ARV is at 200. Let's just assume that for a second. But if there's no $200,000 house there, then that's not going to be your ARV anymore, right? So the way I always look at it is, hey, Mr. Seller, once I fix that place up, I want to be able to sell that place quicker than all the other ones that are on sale right now, right? I'm not in the business to babysit houses. I'm in the business to move them.
Mm-hmm.
And so in order for me to make money on this and sell it quickly, I'm gonna have to undercut everyone else. And right now, the house that looks just like yours at 180, it's been in the market for 200 days. I'm gonna have to come in like at 160, 150 so that mine sells quicker. Right.
Yep.
And then that becomes your ARV.
Yep.
So I just wanted to point that out to you guys, because sometimes when you look at the sold prices, it's good ARV and you're like, yeah, I got this locked up really good. But at the end of the day, you got to look at it from the end buyer's point of view, which is I can only sell for 150 because the other house is selling for 170 and it hasn't sold in 120 days.
Yep. And that's exactly what this is right here. So we have 220, hasn't sold in 342 days. Why isn't it selling? Probably because I can buy the same exact house for $101,000 with a little bit of an upgrade to get it the same exact quality. And these are both active listings. So it's also the retail side of it. Like if you see a property for sale for $220,000, or if you see like a car for sale, 2008 Honda Civic, the beauty that car is, and you see a 2008 Honda Civic for $5,000 cheaper, same exact specs, which would you go for? If you have a little bit of money to spend on repairs, you could spend your money on the repairs and it'll still be cheaper overall to get this Honda Civic versus that Honda Civic. Yeah, I'm making a really poor metaphor, but
No, it's a great metaphor. The only thing that's different is got an engine.
yeah. I mean, some houses these days. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, so that's how we would do basic comps. For free, we look at the solds, we look at the for sales. We can look at the rent prices for the rental comps in the area, because we did see on our property, it does say that it's rented for $1,500 a month. So it does bring in some money. It doesn't reach the 1% rule, so that's not a good investment. But we can see if that rent rate is market rate or not. And it looks like it's probably at the top of the market. So we're not going to get anything more than
How do you
15.
see that? How did you see that right away?
So with here we saw in the description, nice investment property, rent payments are $1,500 a month, has tenant with an 8-month lease still active.
Yep.
So when we buy this property, we're going to have that tenant $1,500 a month. I just went to my other tab, my other Zillow that I was using for comps in my area, and I
got
switched to for rent. And I didn't waste time on any of the filters, because if I see immediately in our neighborhood 1.5 is the top, and he's there, there's nothing else I need to do.
what you can do. Yep.
So if we were to call this person, we'd have to call them and let them know that the only way we buy their property is, I don't know if we're allowed to show the profit calculator. That's why I'm not actively pulling it up with this.
Oh, you can. I've been showing it.
Oh, okay, cool. So this isn't the free bit. This is something a little bit more. But yeah, when you're running your numbers, so he wants $220,000. You can just drop that right in there. When you're comping out your stuff, your wholesale fee, $15,000. Your repairs, you take a look at this. Square footage is 1830. Doesn't look like it needs a lot of repairs. Looks like it might be rent ready almost.
Yep.
But I always put in money for repairs, and then the square footage of the house was 1813, I think.
Yep.
1830, that's what it was. So if we wanted to do a rental, like absolutely nothing, would cost $30,000. So we can cut that in half because it looks fresh. But LVP is expensive, and replacing carpet over and over and over again is expensive. So $15,000, half of what it would cost for a low rehab rental if it's walk-in ready. Their ARV we saw was $110,000.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's rough. Or $101,000 is what it was. So if we do a 4-bed, yeah, that's rough, buddy.
I mean, the absolute maximum would be 150, right? 1% rule at $1,500.
Yeah, yep. We did the reverse. That'd be the end buyer number.
Yeah, it would be 150 at the absolute maximum, but that would only get you 1%, you know?
And they want 220. So we can see right here immediately that it doesn't work. So what's nice about the FSBO is you can pre-comp, but usually we do this live when we're on a call with people.
Yep.
This one is a little bit of a special case, but yeah, you can reverse engineer. You need to be $118,000 lesser than that to make it a 0% profit. So we'd be 110. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it's looking rough.
I would say 90,000, right? 85, 90.
Yeah, because they want to make $1 to $1 back. Prop percentage doesn't matter too
Put
much.
85 on the other side on the rental.
Yeah, this one would be good at 85. Yep.
You know, so this one would be I'd say 85 would be okay. I think it moves at 95. I mean 95 to the end buyer. So $10,000 assignment fee, for example.
Oh, it's with the numbers as is, it's actually pretty lucrative because of the equity. You're only putting 15,000 at max, and if you refinance right away and you have instant equity, you're getting a $2 for $1 you put in if you put that in.
That's
At
right.
50. So we're set here. Rent rate 1,500, 1.27%. It's not great, but we can also look at the HUD FMRs and figure something else out there. But yeah, so we know that we need to be at 85,000 for it to make sense as a flip, if we decide we want to flip it, or as a rental.
You wanna call this number? Let's do it. Let's see what we can do, Charles. What do you think? Let's get our
Oh
ass right.
man! All right, let's get our teeth kicked in. Let's do it.
Yep. Let's
You
do
want to
it.
call him? You want me to call him?
You want to go? I don't care. This is your neighborhood. You can go, and then I can go next with Toledo.
Man, there is no way that this guy's gonna sell this property to me. This is that fear that Dante was talking about for calling a seller, right?
Yep.
All right. Let's call.
Let's go. Is it ringing, Charles?
Yep.
I got it.
Hi, Reginald. My name is Charles. I was calling about your property out there at on Hartwell Street. Curious if you're still looking to sell that property. If you are, I'm love to have a conversation with you about it. See if we can agree on numbers and make something work. So if you are still looking to sell, I found your property on Fizbo through Zillow. Please let me know. If you're not, also please let me know. But yeah, hopefully hear back from you soon. Have a great one. Bye. Yeah, no answer, no calls. My phone does a weird thing where the ringtone doesn't come through, so I don't even know if it's ringing half the time, and then I just get a voicemail or somebody.
All right, I'm gonna call and see. Maybe she might pick up.
All right, I'll zoom in for the number so you can see it.
Yeah, I just need to see the address for now.
Oh shoot, okay.
Please leave your message for.
All right, let's double tap her. Let's see. Was it a he or she,
I
Charles?
think it was the key based on where'd it go? Oh shoot, he, Reginald.
Please leave your message for.
Hey Reggie, good afternoon. My name is Caesar. Saw your listing on Zillow for your property on Hartwell Street. I am a buyer out there, out in Detroit, looking to buy one more property before the year ends. Looks like this might be it for me. Give me a call when you get this, 415-579-3026. Thanks.
My bad, man. I realized that was your
No,
address.
no worries. No worries.
Yeah, so that's where the search comes up, the skip tracing. Like you saw that I was getting a voicemail. I was like, oh crap, I need to know this person's name. So I just quickly skip traced his first name. Let's see if it's the same. And if it's the wrong number or the wrong person, he'll let me know.
Yep.
But it's rented out. Looks like we got Reginald Matthews again. So when we left voicemail, we can make it a little bit more personal. Caesar said Reggie. I said Reginald. So we are calling for the right person, and we know that, and he knows that. So that's another perk to the skip tracing. All right.
Perfect.
Do you want to? All right. So that was one that didn't work. But if we did get it under contract, let's show a little bit of what it would look like in PandaDoc and stuff like that.
Yeah, that would be great, man. Thank you.
Yep. So in
I think,
PandaDoc,
hold on. I think we got a couple of quick questions. Manny, what time are you going live for the challenge? Manny, I think you're talking about. So there are 3 out of the 12 days. There are 3 days where I'm gonna go live and really take action. So first one would be on the comping, which would be over the weekend. And then the other one would be next Thursday and Friday, where we would take action and just make calls. I'll probably provide some leads, and then let's see who can lock up a deal on this on live. But also, if you want to try, you can also hop on right now and call one of these FISBOs and see if you can lock it up.
yeah, if you guys lock up a FISBO, let me know. But yeah, so let's say we did get it under contract. We can come into Signwell in PandaDoc, and we can create our documents, upload it. We saw that I did have one in there. I don't want to dox anyone. I think I accidentally did a little bit, but that's okay. That was a dead deal. But yeah, you can just go ahead and I don't know if you guys can see these. I'm trying to hide the addresses. Let me just rename something.
Yeah, at the end of the day, guys, there's a lot of, I mean, even DocuSign will give you 1 week for free, right? So no necessarily need to worry about these things. It's more of, okay, once I have someone where I'm going to send a document, then go ahead and sign up for, DocuSign, or in this case, which one is this one?
This one's PandaDoc.
PandaDoc.
Oh,
Perfect.
I just slightly dox someone. My bad. Oh no. All right. But as you can see,
Yeah.
you can upload. I'm doxing everyone. Let me log out of this. So
No
as
worries.
you can see, you can upload your documents for free, send them out to whoever you want for free. You can add your forms and stuff. Same exact thing here.
And then for the folks that are new, like, one of my main questions is like, where do I get my contracts, right? So one of the days, which I believe will probably be on Saturday this week, I'm going to go over comping, underwriting, and contracts. There are people out there that are giving away their contracts for free. So just go on their website. I know Jerry Norton does that. Flip with Rick. I absolutely love RJ's contracts because it's 2 pages long. And being part of the Titanium University, obviously we have access to it. But if you're not part of Titanium and you want to buy that, there's also a link where RJ is selling his contracts and all of his contracts and his profit calculator, I believe, for $99 or some sort. I'll put it on the comments here or in the chat so you guys can click on it if you guys want to.
Cool. Awesome. So yeah, and when you do decide to when you do land a deal and you have Signwell and PandaDoc, well, PandaDoc does have a limit on how many envelopes you can send out per month. I think Signwell has a little bit of a limit as well, but it's per month. So I believe it refreshes every single month, and you can keep using this month after month after month, especially if you're a one-man show. When you make your first assignment, you can probably pay for DocuSign for a year or sign out whatever document signing software you want, and it'll pay for itself. It'll pay dividends very, very quickly. But yeah, so that is how to send the document. There's also MailChimp, which is a little bit more complicated. And Send in Blue, these are your campaigns that you can create and send out in a quick little template. Let's see if I can find an email that I can show you all that came from MailChimp that I got personally that I can share with y'all so you can see. All right, cool. So this is, it's a sale. So this is the property that was pitched at me. This is from MailChimp. So the stuff that you see like this, price improvement estate, the same exact thing. You can get this for free. Add like 4 photos to it, quick little summary, link for more photos, and it's powered by MailChimp. So inside of MailChimp, there is a free version, but they try to get you, and there's an actual free version. You just have to Google MailChimp free and look at their plan and sign up this one. It's not the trial. Oh, it is a free trial. I lied. And then Sun and Blue has the same exact thing. They try to hide it themselves, but you can sign up for free as well. So you have MailerLite / Sun and Blue. You have MailChimp. You have DocuSign, Dropbox Sign. You have too many resources out there available to you that will give you free document signing technology and capabilities. Or sorry, I just mixed marketing and document signing. But yeah, there are plenty of websites out there that will give you a free website template for a couple of ads. You can do the same thing with WordPress, but this MailerLite and MailChimp are how you can market your stuff. Also, go to your in-person real estate investor associations and meetups and talk on the mic. They do have them once at a lot of them. You show up, you have a deal on lock, you go up to the microphone, you just say what you have, and then people will come to you. And then those are your buyers too. That's how you find your buyers, again, and your in-person stuff. That's how you market and dispo your properties, and so on and so forth.
You can also join Facebook groups.
Mm-hmm.
One thing that I want to show too, Charles, and maybe you're about to show it, and let me know if I'm going a little too fast here. But going back to that one property we were looking at, you can also look at what's being sold in that area, what's for sale, and see which houses look like that's been recently remodeled.
Yep. Yeah,
right?
that's where I was going right here with these two.
Yeah, so if you can see some is like, oh, that looks like it's 2024, even though that it's a brick house back in the 20s, you might want to pick up that phone and see who's selling that property. You know what I mean? Because then that's most likely a flipper who flipped the property.
Yeah, let's go to this neighborhood. This is a pop-up neighborhood in Detroit. And this is exactly what you're talking about. You can take a look at these properties. See, it's an older property, but if you look inside of it, it's probably rehabbed. Yeah.
Oh, look at that.
Glorious.
Dude, that's your buyer.
Yep. Well, halfway done. So this might be a good opportunity for all your wholesalers to get a free MLS post. Reach out to that realtor because that job is obviously not done. They might accept a cash offer. You won't even have to pay all the closing costs. But yeah, you can see inside of this, just like you were saying, you can see if things have been flipped or not. You can come back down. Rehab's been started. Investor ran out of money, willing to sell as is. Look at this: a distressed property, a distressed owner that's selling on the market. You could wholesale the hell out of this thing. Yes, the buyer can work with current contracts, finish property, hire their own.
Evaluate, I would still call that as a potential buyer. Because he ran out of money for that one. Doesn't mean he's out of money completely. He might still be buying other properties. And if he doesn't, he might know a buddy, right? He might be able to bring you as a buyer and be like, yo, we can JV this deal together. I'm sure you're part of a networking group out there. Can you push this out to your group?
Also call this guy right here, Todd Harris.
Too. Yeah.
Because he had the connection to be able to list this. So he has a connection to this buyer, and this buyer, just like Caesar, you're saying, maybe he ran out of money for this one. Maybe he's wholesaling it. Maybe he's building up a little bit and then selling it on the market. Maybe he's novating it a little bit.
Exactly.
So this could be a novation partner. This could be a wholesale partner to talk to. This realtor has the connect with this kind of owner. So if he can get the hookup, be his buyer's agent for one of your properties you're trying to dispo. And he's a flipper, so he's dilapidated properties. There you go. But like this, 35,000. Oh, it's a lot.
Now, Charles, I will ask you another question if you don't mind, because this is definitely a question that will come up. Is let's say you call that realtor, right, and then you let the realtor know, hey, I've got a property on the contract. I'd like to assign it to a flipper. Looks like this property you have listed, your seller that flipped this property. You can be like, yeah. Right. And then, so at that point, like, how do you carry the conversation so that that realtor can refer you or can bring his or her buyer?
So if you have a property under contract and you reach out to a realtor and say, hey, it looks like your person buys these kinds of properties. I'm curious if, okay, a good question. Yeah, you just reach out to the realtor and representing yourself and be like, hey, I have a property that I think your buyer may be interested in, and give out as little information as possible, but enough to tease the interest, and the realtor will have to communicate with you to be the buyer's agent, and you'll negotiate through that, the realtor for the buyer. But but be careful because there are people out there like realtors, and there are realtors out there that will try to snake a deal from you.
Yep.
So that's why I'm saying give them enough information to tease that you have something under contract in an area that their buyer has bought stuff in the past, but not enough information for them to figure out exactly what property it is. Like this, I wouldn't be showing you guys this if I was looking for this property. I would not want to advertise this. I'd be like, hey, I have a sick, large home in 4826 Detroit. I saw that you were flipping homes. This one needs a medium rehab. Looks like you worked with an investor in the past that did exactly this. Is that person still looking? Are you representing that person? Is that person still looking to buy more homes? I may have one for both of you. And of course, you get your buyer's agent commission, and realtors are happy whenever you throw them a bone, a little agent commission jingle, and then they'll dance for you.
Absolutely.
Did that answer the question?
And even if you don't give them buyer's agent commission, just remember they're bringing their buyer in who's going to flip the place. So once that investor flips the place, guess who's going to list it?
Yeah,
That
realtor.
realtor. So there are times when you're like, bro, I have no margins on it. Well, however you spin it, be like, hey, I work with a lot of realtors. And for the most part, the realtors that work with me, they gladly just bring their buyers in because they know that they're the ones that's going to list the property once their investor flips it. Now, is that something you'd want? Is that valuable for you to be the first one for you to be able to list the flip property? Yeah, great. Let's work together. This is an off-market deal. This is not an on-market deal where I have to go through the NAR and pay both seller and buyer.
Yeah. That's very good points. Thank you for adding that.
And then I know agents, realtors are gonna be like, well, I'm not gonna bring anything until you pay me anything. I'm like, that's all right. You're not the only realtor in town.
That's true. And it's also up to the buyer as well to pay their agent, whatever. If you want to add that into your fee, split it up with them. But Caesar, just like you said, yeah, that's a huge benefit. If you get this, let's say you get a $71,000 home right here, and you have it under contract, and you reach out to a realtor, be like, hey, I have this property in 48206 right in the hot area that's being flipped right now. I saw that you worked on 9500 LaSalle Boulevard. Are you still looking for properties in the area? They say, yeah. Like, hey, I have this property for your buyer. Can you pitch it to them, or can we get in connection? And then that realtor will have the listing and make their commission on the end. So they could get paid twice for buyers and listing, or they could not get paid on 71. But yeah, just like you said, Caesar, a $415,000, $380,000 flip for doing literally nothing but listing it and watching people come in and enjoy their beauty.
I mean, at the end of the day, you can make deals, right? You can give them a referral fee. Hey, by bringing your buyer, I'll give you a referral fee. If they really want to be part of it, and you know their 3% is not gonna cut, then make a deal with them. Maybe do 1%. Hey, look, I'll do 1% because the margin's tight, but you're going to be the listing agent once this thing's flipped anyway, right? Worst case scenario, you can always say, hey, why don't you bring a buyer? Don't represent them, right? And then just like, we can JV it together. So we're JVing it, and you as not as a realtor, but you as a partner of mine, and we can just JV it together. And now every city, every state's a little different. So you want to know the legality behind it, but they will tell you. They were like, oh no, we can't do that here in Detroit, or we can't do it here in Florida. But all right, well then at the end of the day, there's money to be made. Your goal is to move the property, to move the contract. So move it. Think outside the box, figure out a solution, and bring the buyers in and get it moved.
It's not sexy doing it this way. It's not. It's a grind.
It is a grind.
Yeah, I highly recommend, as soon as you make your first assignment, reinvest in your business, get the tools to make this easier, because this is a beatdown. It's possible, very possible, but damn.
Well, Charles, it's not like wholesaling is new. It's been happening for decades.
Right.
So all the other people that have started before us, they didn't have all the tools that we have. They were still able to do it. What you're showing is exactly what they were doing before.
Yep. And it's like, damn, like those tools just make it so much easier though. And if you can conquer FSBOs, there's going to be no way that you can't conquer an iSpeed lead exclusively that comes in saying, hey, I'm a tired landlord with a vacant property that needs some repairs. I want to sell this in 2 weeks. Can you help me out? I'll sell it to you for 10,000. It's worth 50. Please help me. You're going to have no issue with those. You're not going to fumble those anymore. like I did. We did a seller call review earlier and I fumbled it. Such an easy opportunity. But that's, again, from a long time ago when I was doing it alone and learning versus now I feel much more confident on the phones. And we locked up 7 deals this week. So
Carl,
fumbling laydowns to
you and your team are killing it. I see all the posts. I'm like, oh, these guys are killing it. It's just crushing it, man. And it's a great time to crush it too, right? Because December, January, usually pretty slow. So now you've got some, you've got a meaty pipeline to get you, to hold you up for the winter.
we do. We're doing well. We did well this week. This week was good.
Hey, this is a great question by Jonte. By the way, Jonte, if I'm butchering your name, I apologize. He asked, how long did it take you guys from your first call to getting your first deal? When you're saying first deal, are you talking about closed and funded or just locked up under contract? I guess we can answer both. Charles, you want to answer first? I can answer mine after that.
I'm pulling mine up. Hold on.
While you're doing that, I know the answer because when it comes to dates, especially when it matters to me, I know them all. But hopefully my ex not watching because then I always forget our anniversary. Just kidding. So I started November 15, and the very first deal that I locked up under contract was in the middle of January. So it took me 60 days to lock up a contract. I actually locked up 2 contracts in 1 week. Both of them didn't make it to the finish line. One of them got paid on a memorandum, but I wasn't part of it because I told my business partner I didn't want to deal with it, and I just kept moving on. But the very, very first one that I got paid on, meaning what hit the finish line, wasn't until March. So it took me 4 months, and that was me doing this full time. Remember, I told you guys I had no experience, right? So for me, it didn't matter. I gave myself 3 to 5 months to see some type of income coming in. So I was okay with that.
Yeah, for me, I was just looking at my history actually, because I'm a data freak. I'm a software engineer by trade, software architect, data architect. So that's my background. So Caesar would sell the stuff I'd make. So that's why we talk the same language.
Yeah.
But yeah, so my first call, like actual wholesale, was June 24th of 2024. And I had so many, I had a lot of calls. And then the first one that went to the closing table and funded, that call went on July 1st. And yeah, I don't remember. I think that funded in the beginning of mid-August, I want to say. So yeah, so it took a little bit less time, but when I make that face, I made a lot of calls. So it was the volume that got me there. It was, dude, my close rate was like 1 in 100. It was bad.
Yeah. Did in the beginning, before I partnered with Austin, I was doing all FISBOs. Well, I mean, I would skip trace and do like this list stacking from like a prop wire, right? So it's like 10 cents a lead, 7 cents a lead, whatever it was. And the thing that I didn't like about those services is that a lot of them, the number is incorrect. So you have to go through a lot. You have to go through a lot in order to get a hold of someone. And because I was doing everything as cheaply as possible, I did not invest in an auto dialer. So I was doing everything, literally just making phone calls one by one, dialing each dial. And so whenever I would go literally for 2-3 hours not getting a hold of anyone because all the damn phone numbers were wrong, I would always get so pissed, and I would literally just pull up Zillow, FISBO, pick a random city in Florida or Texas, whatever I'm working for that hour, and I would just call. And I loved FISBOs because I'm always talking to someone, right? like the hit rate, it's a lot higher. And for me, I wanted to get my ass kicked. And the only way I can get my ass kicked is by talking to someone. So I use FISBOs for me to get better.
Yeah, that's exactly what they're there for. That's exactly what I'm trying to preach here too, is use them as your reps. Like, you might secure a deal, you spend $0 on it, and you make 15,000. Like, that's an infinite return on investment when all you're doing is spending time and getting better. Good
Yep.
thing.
Jonte just asked, how many sellers do I think I was calling a day? Dude, I was calling like anywhere from 150 to $200 dials a day, sometimes 300. Once I partnered with Austin, and then now Austin had leads coming in, PPCs and PPLs, then that number decreased a lot, because then now I'm in front of motivated sellers, right? So in the beginning, I dialed a lot, but didn't get in front of a lot of people because I was doing a lot of things for free or doing the list stacking. And back to what I was saying earlier, whenever I wanted to get repetitions in, FISBOs was the way for me to go because the numbers were correct. Okay. And by the way, one of the things that I did too is one of the deals that I closed in April was a FISBO deal that I called in January. They weren't ready yet. They had the right motivation, but they were still in the wrong price bucket. And then they called me in April. They're like, yeah, we'll do the 75. I'm like, okay. And then we were able to dispo it within 7 days.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, one other thing. Hold on for a second, Charles. One of the other things that I'd like to say too is, if you guys want, you can also call all the for rent listings that you have on Zillow. Okay, because these are tired landlords. You can easily call them, just say, hey, I'm not actually looking to rent. I'm an investor. I'm looking for tired landlords, man. Are you by any chance open to selling this property?
Yeah,
And
I
I
never thought about
love
that.
those conversations too, because they're investors, right? There's not much emotions attached to each property. It's all numbers for them, just like it's numbers for you. And your conversation is a lot easier. All right, Charles, I know you got to get paid, but I also got to have some meat on the bone on my end. So what's a good price point for you where you're happy, but you also know, as an investor that knows the market, that I have some that I can make some money on it. And if they don't want to play ball with you, then off to the next one.
That's a really good idea. Never thought about that.
Yep. Manny asked what I think about property leads. Glad that you asked, because tomorrow I will have property leads do a quick demo, and we'll also discuss what they're doing about January 25th with all the regulations that's happening. So Manny, tomorrow, 12 p.m. Pacific time, tune in. It's going to be about lead generation when you do have capital to invest in. So I'll be talking about speed to lead. And then I also have property leads coming in as a guest speaker.
Nice.
Sorry to
I'm
cut you off.
excited for it. Oh no, you're good. That was exciting news.
Yeah.
Also, more exciting news is Investor Lift is now free-ish, with an asterisk around it. They dropped Investor Lift Lite, where you can now sign up for free and you kind of pay as you go for the items that you need, instead of paying 60,000 or 50,000 or 40,000, whatever it was, per year. And you can again pay as you go. You can find your buyers down here. So yeah, another way to find buyers for free is to go to Investor Lift and look up these people. Real Estate Fund One LLC. It tells you where they're from. Landyland LLC. So if I just Google this, I just found Landyland LLC. They're also doing a 154 unit project with under Detroit developer, blah, blah, blah. So they're pretty big. Yeah, commercial rehabilitation district, the area 3. Yeah, so look, they're doing huge things, commercial things. So if you want a commercial buyer, this is your person. They're doing 115 unit revitalization efforts in the city. New Life Restorations LLC, this person. But yeah, call them up, email them, look them up, use that software to skip trace them and find their numbers when you're looking at your Investor Lift God mode. Go to the direct lenders here, this lender link, we talked about this briefly before. Browse your lenders. You can reach out to your lenders by the state and talk to them about the different types of investor loans that they have. Like let's say DSCR, residential fix and flip, perfect. So if I want to know which lenders are lending out to buyers that have residential fix and flips, I can reach out to these people, see if they have buyers in the area, or if they're willing to share that information, or if the buyers leverage them or anything. But yeah, additional ways to find buyers. Yeah, so William Campbell, I had to do, when I signed up for Investor Lift, I had to get an email, and my email came in through the spam. So double check your spam for it, because that's where mine popped in. I verified my email, and then I was finally let in. Also, make sure you're signing into admin.investorlift.com. If you're signing into the old Investor Lift or like the buyer side Investor Lift, your email address that you use for this will not transfer over to the buyer, to the Dispo Investor Lift. It's two separate accounts, two separate portals. So just make sure you're using the right passwords and stuff.
Yep. I do have a question here. Jonte saying, when are we making calls to sellers, and is there a way he can join? Absolutely. You guys can join anytime. I do go live every day making calls to sellers. This 12 days, at first I decided I'm not going to do any live seller calls until like after what we're doing. Like for example, right now, if Charles has a time, I know we've kind of went over already. So if we don't do live seller calls today, we'll do live seller calls tomorrow. But yeah, every day, man, I'm on live. Feel free to hop on, just get on the comment, and then I'll go ahead and send my StreamYard link so you can hop on as well.
And I saw that Manny asked about property leads. I think all lead sources are good. I think it's the closer that's the difference. You've seen plenty of like Jerry Norton videos. You've seen plenty of RJ Bates videos, or maybe you haven't. But if you haven't, then I suggest looking them up and watching them close on property leads all the time. Like just make sure your criteria and your bids are set up properly so you don't get hit too hard in the bank. And yeah, I've had nothing but success. My favorite is I Speed a Lead because I like to nitpick and I want to know the data before I buy it. But that's why my preference is I Speed a Lead. But property leads has not done me wrong either.
Absolutely. And actually, I just thought of something right now too for you guys who are like, hey, how much are speed to lead? And so before you start investing in all of these leads, right, give yourself, I don't know, 1 week, 2 weeks, and just call a buttload of FSBOs. Like learn. So in that way, when you finally pick up the phone and call those leads, you're a little bit better than being completely green. Does that make sense? Right? Because those leads cost, right? And so you don't want to screw up too much. You at least want to have the framework done, right? Like you want to know what the king closers formula is. So yeah, if you're new, I would say practice on the free leads by doing this way. And then once you get now, I just want to be careful when I say these because I know there's some people that always have the paralysis analysis and people that want to know everything before they start. So I don't want you to be afraid to call leads. I just want you to just go ahead and make mistakes. But if I can make mistakes on free leads versus the leads that I paid for, I'll do that all day long, right? Another thing which I've flashed across my screen many times, if you guys want to call my number, we can do like a role play. We can do role play live, right? Call my phone number. I'll answer as if I'm the seller and then go ahead and pitch me, right? Try to lock me up. So we can do that as well.
Oh, I did forget one other thing. Land.com.
Oh yeah, what is that? Because that I've never used before.
Yeah, if you're looking at land, land.com is probably the best website. This is what Jason Strickland taught me to comp land with. So you can just type in the city or state. So if we go like Fayetteville County, Alabama, you can do your filters on here, and this pulls data from different land selling sources and MLSs to put it into one area. So you can do your comps for land here. You can choose what type of land it is. It's a little bit more in depth than what you could find on Zillow, and you can see all these land spots now. And that's how you'll be able to comp and see if their asking price is similar to your asking price for land specifically.
Got it. Well, what is it? Land.com, you said?
Yep, super, super easy to remember. So land, you're looking for land, go to land.com.
I like it.
For Audi Luck, Lead Zillow is really good. Actually, some of the deals that I closed this week, the 7 are part of Lead Zillow. Again, iSpeed Elite is what I recommend. Coupon Club is unbeatable. $29 a lead.
Unbeatable.
Unbeatable. $29 a lead. Literally my 60K rip that we were talking about, that lead cost $10 off of iSpeed the lead. So I can't bad talk iSpeed the lead at all. They made my Christmas.
Hey, look what Manny said. He purchased 9 leads from iSpeed to Lead, got 2 contracts. One of them signed while on the phone. Heck yeah. Rest are follow-ups. Bad. By the way, if it's a follow-up or bad number, you should be able to get a refund, although it's a package deal. If I were you, I would still reach out to them and ask. They'll probably give you a credit for it, so that way you can buy 9 more, or however many that were bad numbers.
So golf course in a 30-unit hotel, that is a complicated question. I'm not a commercial real estate agent. So there are ways to do it with you want the net operating income, and then just check if it cash flows and if the NOI is a good percentage. Essentially, that's a very, very high level commercial comp.
Yeah, that's very different from single family. Absolutely. Everything you said, that's exactly what I was going to say. You got to get the NOI, all the expenses. You got, put it this way. First thing you got to do is get their P&L, get their 12 months or 24 months rent roll, or in this case, hotel. So yeah, 12, 24 months of P&L. So in that way you can do a proper underwriting. It's not going to be like a one call close.
Yep. Nope. Once seller is on contract, best way to find a buyer is to you can either go into LenderLink, call these lenders, find out who the buyers are, or like we touched on before, go into InvestorLift. InvestorLift is free. Locate your area. Like let's say we're going to Indianapolis and Indiana, right? Apply your search. Scroll down here. You have your $0. I spent $0 on InvestorLift. Come down here, you have phone numbers for them. Obviously, these are probably some fake ones, but you can look up the LLC and call the LLC. That's how you'll find the big buyers in the area. Click them. You can find the buyers down here. You can also go to Zillow. Look for the recently solds in the last 6 months. Doesn't matter if they're
recently sold or even for sale.
And the newest. And you start taking a look at any of these with photos. Like this looks like it was a renovation. This looks like a nice home. It's in our area. So then I'll go down to the home details on Zillow and I'll see who listed it. And I'll reach out to this realtor and be like, hey, look, I saw that you had listed this property here. It looks like it was a flip. It looks like your seller was a flipper or rehabber. I have another property in 4204. It's comparable to what they did there. Are they looking to buy another property and flip it? And if you connect me with them, you can probably get the listing as well, like Steve was saying. So your realtor will be more than happy to work with you and get their buyer a home that they're going to sell with them anyway. So that's the easiest way to find buyers after you get a property under contract. InvestorLift and Zillow.
Yep.
For free.
And another way that you guys can do it too is if you don't want to go through all of that, you can always reach out to some of us who have a dispo team. We will underwrite it. We will let you know whether it's priced correctly and if it's not, and we will explain why. So it's not like, oh, no, we won't take it unless it's here. We'll definitely give you an explanation, and then if it works out, then we'll dispo together, and that way you can continue to focus on acquisition, and then let us, whether it's me, whether it's Charles' team, or whoever it is, someone in your neighborhood, if they have a process set in place where they can dispo deals, there's nothing wrong with JBing them, you know?
Yep.
Even in the beginning, I would say, hey, usually I'd go 50-50, but because I'm so new, I'll be more than happy to take less. I just need you to show me everything. I've done that before too. Like, all right, let's do 60-40. You want to go 70? I'm like, 70-30 is the most I believe, but I need to listen to your calls. I need to see how you're dealing with title. I need to be part of the email thread. Da, da, da. And it's not me trying to macromanage. It's me to just see what happens behind the scenes from soup to nuts.
Yeah, that's the same for any kind of real estate investing, aspiring fixes and flippers, or landlords, or people that are trying to use other people's money to get real estate investing capital. JV with someone, your first thing. You'll be able to leverage their network. You'll have a name with a professionally well done, experienced portfolio behind you. You'll be able to use their experience in your portfolio from the get-go, and you'll be able to re-leverage those same connections. That's how you'll get your snowball rolling. And actually start using zero of your own dollars to flip a whole home. But yeah, there was another question, I think. Capital heavy, time restricted, lead Zolo. Yeah, lead Zolo is good as well. If you're capital heavy but time restricted, I would choose iSpeed to lead over those 100%, because you can pick and choose what you want when you want them in the moment. And of course, the game is speed to the lead. So you buy the lead, you want to call them as soon as possible, instead of lead Zolo maybe sending you something when you may not be active or ready for it because you have to have a heavy time restriction, or they don't have something in the pool when you have availability open. And same with property leads, because it's a bidding system. So just go to iSpeed to lead, throw some money in there, and do the coupon club is my opinion. I don't know if Caesar, if you have any varying opinions, additional thoughts on that.
No, I would, 100% agree with everything you said. Speed to lead would probably be the best way to go, just because you get to choose which leads you want to buy and when you want to buy them. So you pretty much work in the time zone or time frame that you have the ability. I can't even speak, but you know what I'm talking about. But also another shameless plug is you probably can look for people like myself, Charles, who are very good at locking up these deals, other closers. If you're capital heavy, time restricted, we also have folks within Titanium who are like, hey, I've got my own business. I know that there's a lot of margins to be made in the wholesaling. I don't have time to make phone calls, but I have money. And some folks within Titanium have invested in other people who have all the time in the world. Maybe they don't have all the capital, right? So you can work that out too. At the end of the day, that's one thing I've realized in real estate. There's always a deal to be made. You know what I mean? Like, that question is like, what do you have? What do you need? Whenever I meet someone, what do you have? What do you need? When I was going to like these meetups, what do you have? What do you need?
Yep.
Got a lot of capital, but I need someone to make phone calls for me. Awesome. I have a lot of time and I need capital. Let's work together, right? Like literally. And you'll find someone, if you just ask, they'll come around.
Yep, there are plenty of people out there that are looking for JVs as well, because lots of new people. It's a high low barrier to entry, but high attrition rate. So there'll be plenty of new people that are coming in and locking things up like for JV. So plenty of opportunity to learn what's right, learn how to identify when you're about to get your teeth kicked in. And then as long as you're consistent and you persevere, you'll make it out, and just continue to learn. And don't take anything personally. It's all professional. No matter how invested you are, no matter how much blood, sweat, and tears you put into negotiating a price down, if a disposition manager comes and tells you it's locked up too high, it's locked up too high. Go sweat some more. So get that locked down or release it. But
100%, Charles. I'm so happy you said that, because yes, sometimes I feel bad because I know they worked so hard to get that price point, but at the end of the day, I'd rather have you hate me now because I told you the truth than hate me later because I didn't want to hurt your feelings in the beginning, right? Like don't you want to know now that it's not going to move? Now that being said, just because I say it's not going to move doesn't mean it's not going to move. You can try it on your own. You might actually find a buyer and go, "Hey, Caesar, you're an idiot. I was able to sell it."
yeah,
This actually happened within my team. Out in Joshua, Texas, I locked up a mobile home, double wide, and I forgot exactly how much I locked it up at. I think 130 or something like that, or 110. Yeah, I forgot whatever the value was. So the next day we talked about like what's in our pipeline, and Austin's like, bro, and he wanted to be as nice as possible to me. At the end, I was like, dude, just spit it out. It's like, dude, you locked it up way too high. Like this thing should be like 50% of what you locked it up at, you know? And I'm like, okay, but then I gave him my reasonings on why, blah, blah, blah. And then we were able to dispo it within 3 days and got a $20,000 fee on it.
Dang.
So the reason why I'm sharing that story with you guys, because at the end of the day, there's always a buyer for every deal. The thing is, so that's what I learned from that deal. It's like there's always a buyer for every deal. The problem is, who are your buyers and how do you market it out there so that the right buyer sees your deal, right? So that your marketing attracts the right buyer. That was the big thing that was missing in our business back in September or July, August. So when we joined Titanium, the profit calculator showed us, oh, this is a flip or this is a buy and hold, and this is how the end buyer is going to make their money. Once we knew that, then now we knew how to market it. Now we're attracting the right buyers for each specific deal. Doesn't mean we close all of them, you know what I mean? But it increased our hit rate a bit, you know what I mean? Or I should say our conversion rate.
Yeah, that's huge. Yeah, the buyers network. In Detroit specifically. Sorry, did I interrupt you? Were you?
No, go for it.
Okay, cool. Sorry about that. Yeah, Detroit is a very advanced market, and each block by block, like Caesar was saying before, is a different comp, a different area. Each neighborhood is a different comp, different area. Each avenue is a different area, different comp. So it's a bit complicated. You can have multiple zip codes in the same neighborhood, and some of those zip codes could be comparable to each other, but then others won't. It's very, very complicated. But what we ended up doing, just like Caesar, you were just saying, is identifying the exit strategy and how to make it profitable and identifying what the buyers are going to be for the property. And then we marketed it specifically targeting those buyers. And we have someone on my team. I partner up with Jenny Medina. She's part of Tough as well. She runs Sure Investments. And that's how we got our 60,000 assignment creative deal done with a note for 2 years, was because she's like, hey, I've seen this before. I know exactly how to format this post. Let's throw it out there. And she walked through the post and why it was targeted that, or why it was formatted that way, and why it would reach the targeted audience, or the most audience. And she worked with the dispo managers. They put it out there, and that thing, we had calls that were blowing us up, and people told us that there was no way in hell that we're going to sell that thing, that there's prostitutes and drug traffickers and everything in that area of Detroit. And then that same day, after we got that feedback from potential end buyers, somebody locked it up that same exact day, same exact evening. And we had it signed. I think it was Thursday or Friday. We had the land contract written up and the note drafted. And then over the weekend, I think they signed it, or on Friday they signed it. And then today we filed it with title.
Nice.
So all that hate, we got a lot of haters. But the way we formatted the deal to make it, again, beneficial and cash flowing for the end buyer, the end buyer's winning. They're making money every single month because they're occupying and renting it out and flipping it. We're making money off the interest rate from a deal that somebody else didn't have the capability to revitalize.
Yep. And by the way, just kind of going back to what we were talking about, like even when I first started, I was looking at JV deals when I didn't have the buyers, and I would also get ticked off like, dude, what do you mean it doesn't work? It doesn't work. And but I always appreciated the guys who would actually explain to me. Like they would give me like the comps, like, hey, look, I know you found those comps, but here are our comps and here's the reasons why. Boom, 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 right? And then you just listen, and you know whether someone's dicking you around and someone's being honest
Authentic.
with you.
Yep.
Right? And then you, at the end of the day, you gotta listen, and then make your own decision on whether they're just trying to get a higher fee or not. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, the people that are trying to dispo with you, they don't make their money until it hits the finish line. So what incentive do they really have to bring the price down? I mean, the only incentive that I can think of is bring the price down so that you assign it to them at that low price point, and then they sell it at a much higher price point, right? They sign at a much higher price point. So then maybe you get 5,000 to get 15,000, right? So the thing is, you just gotta just talk to them like, okay, great. So if I get it down to this price point, how much are you going to assign it to?
Mhm.
right? So like to have that conversation, ask him where does this move? This is right. So you want me to be at 20? Why? Oh, because it moves at 29. Okay, or it moves at 40, and I need 10,000, so that means you need 10,000. And maybe that's why they say that, right? So if that's the case, maybe you lock it up at 35, you only get 5 and they get 10. At the end of the day, make deals with them. You know what I mean? But got to listen to the market.
100%.
Cool. I think we're like right on the dot here.
Dang, killed it.
I know this ended up being a 2-hour call. So hopefully this was very valuable for you guys. Let me know if you found this to be valuable. Just put a 1 on the chat. And then Charles, I was gonna do some calls with you, but I know it's pretty late where you're at.
Yeah,
And I know
check
we've
out.
been on for 2 hours. So guys, what I'll do is tomorrow I'm gonna have property leads. Join me as a guest speaker. I will also once again talk about speed to lead because that's who I use the most of. And then at the end of that, what I want to do is I'm gonna go ahead and make calls. So I'll call both leads that I paid for, but also at the same time, I'll go ahead and pull up some FISBOs and try that. Like let's have an experiment tomorrow, right? Like let me make 5 speed to lead calls and then 5 FISBO calls. See which one, how far we get with each one.
That's fun. I could do a really quick summary again. I know it's at the very end.
Yeah, please do, man. That would be great.
Okay, yeah, let me do a really quick summary for what's available, and then so y'all can run because I know it's been 2 hours. It's been a long time. So, lead generation, lead for sale, FISBOs by owner or another, no foreclosures, no auctions, no agent listed. Set your boundary, set your criteria here, homes. This doesn't matter. So yeah, so your sources are going to be Zillow, for sale by owner. You're going to have FISBO.com is another source, Craigslist as well. You can find it on Realtor. You can also find it on Facebook Marketplaces. That's where you're going to find your leads. That's where you're going to call them. Your comping tools. Again, we're going to go back to Zillow. Use, oh, am I sharing my screen? Oh, I am sharing my screen, but it's hidden.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Go
Oh,
ahead.
you're good.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, so FISBOs, it's going to be your lead generation. You got Zillow's for sale by owners, owner another, don't do foreclosures or auctions. You can go to auctions.com and foreclosures.com to get those because if you click on these anyway, it's just going to bring you to a site like this one's at auction. You click on it, it says go to this website, and that's how you're going to auction it anyway. So it's a waste of your time here. Comps, again, Zillow, look at the solds. Use the beds and baths and all the advanced criteria like the year built is super important. And a lot of people skip it. Do not skip this, please. Super important. Sold and last, also very important. Don't go into the peak of COVID when renting money. You got paid to rent money. Please go to the more recent years, last 12 months at most. So that's how you're going to do your comps. Your software that you're going to be sending out your documents from are going to be right here. Signwell, PandaDoc. These are your 2 free document generating stuff. You also have DocuSign and Dropbox Sign that you can use for free trials. But yes, you have plenty of tools that are available for you. Now that you have it under contract, you send it into title. Now you want to find your buyers. Investor Lift Lite, free. If you don't have Investor Lift Lite, please let Caesar know. I'm sure he has a referral link that he could probably give to you on Investor Lift for you to sign up to it. So Investor Lift is free. Look at your place, come down here, find the names, look these people up using your stack tracing or skip tracing, stack tracing, list stacking, stack tracing.
Yep.
So now that you have reached out to your buyers, you got a hold of their information, you have a deal under contract, you're ready for assignment, you send that through PandaDoc as well, your end buyer buys it, then you go to the closing table and you close. But if you don't and you need to advertise it, MailChimp, and where's the other one? MailChimp and Sendinblue MailerLite are your 2 free per month trials and versions of marketing software that you can use. Your real estate investors associations are also very pivotal. in your success as an individual at your local levels. Please, please, please go there. You'll find more success there, and your impact in your work will travel so much further at the local level than it will at the national level. National is easy, practice on the national level, but if you want more influence or more impact with your dollar, go to your local stuff and get that information. Make those real connections. A lot of people are older in those things. A lot of them are, shall I say, dinosaurs. They don't know how to use a phone or a computer. So go in person. You'll meet a lot of huge buyers, huge landlords, your buyers at those places. But yeah, sorry. So that's my quick summary. Shameless plug if you guys want it. That's my information one last time. There you go. Hopefully you guys had enough time to write that down because it was like 3.
I was going to say, Charles, that was pretty quick, man. Why don't you keep it on there for a while?
All right, I'll bring it up. If you guys have any questions or anything, my website's there, onereal.com/Charles Naparella. That's my name. You have my phone number there too. Please text. I have a Texas number. I'm a buyer's agent mostly. I do this for investing purposes. I don't list a lot of stuff. I also do consulting. So I do, if you want consulting, I do that as well. I'm also software engineer developer. So if you need that kind of stuff, you need list pulled, I offer all those services for a charge. But also if you just have general questions for real estate stuff, I am only licensed in Michigan, only in Michigan. I cannot list anything anywhere else, access MLS anywhere else, but I'd be more than happy to help anyone on anything if they have any questions. I like to save money, and I know you guys do too. And if I can help you save money and that helps you make money, then that makes me very happy. So please call me, message me, whatever you need.
Charles, thank you, man. I really, really appreciate your time. I always enjoy speaking with you and having you part of my call, or even when we're doing our Zoom calls. So thank you for your time. Thank you for sharing your knowledge and best practices. I do want to leave off with one thing. So for some of you guys who don't know me, every day I wake up really early in the morning, like 4:30. I do my usual workout. I do a lot of burpees. I'm not the biggest guy. I'm not saying I'm buff or anything, but I like burpees because I absolutely hate doing them. And it's literally a mental thing for me because I don't want to wake up to do them. And the first 20 to 30, I absolutely hate. But there's a mental switch after the 20th and 30th. Well, now my body's craving it and I get to do them, right? And so the reason why I'm saying that is this business is simple, but it's also difficult, right? You have to go through a lot of trials and errors. You have to pick up the phone many times before you reach that success. So it's just getting a repetition in. So the reason why I wanted to I kind of went off track there, but earlier when I was doing my burpees, I was listening to my YouTube videos and podcasts and so forth, and I heard something that I wanted to share with you guys, and I want to close off with this, right? Losers let it happen. Winners make it happen. Losers make excuses. Winners find solutions. Today, we've shown you one solution. If capital was the reason why you haven't started or you haven't done as much, we've shown you a solution today. So the only question I have is, which one will you be? All right. So just want to thank you all for tuning in, for hopping on, and for your continued support. Smash that like button, subscribe, and most importantly, leave your biggest takeaway in the comment below. I always say, whenever you listen to these things, whether it's me or any other folks out there, you got to have a key takeaway. So leave it on the comment below. And if you found something where you would have done a little bit differently, I know Charles is open-minded. I'm open-minded. We're here to grow. So any feedback that you guys can give us, that would be great as well. Other than that, see you all tomorrow, same time, 12 p.m. Pacific time. And let's continue to make moves and grow together and inspire each other to action. Thanks, guys. Thanks, Charles.